The best of Money Matters. Right Business.
Welcome to The Right Business, where we dive deep into the stories of trailblazers who dare to disrupt the status quo, find the gap in the market to find the right business. Hello, I'm Hongbin Jeong. Now, as AI adoption accelerates across the Asia-Pacific region, so too does a wave of legislation aimed at ensuring its safe, fair, and ethical use. Now, in 2025 alone, several governments have introduced sweeping regulatory changes. Malaysia will require all organizations to appoint a data protection officer by June 1st, while Japan has submitted its first cross-cutting AI bill, blending hard and soft law approaches. So in this rapidly evolving landscape, businesses are under pressure to remain both compliant and competitive. Now this is where Straits Interactive steps in. Co-founded by Alvin Toh, Straits Interactive empowers organizations to thrive in the digital age with AI-enhanced training and expert-led governance. So joining us today to share more is Alvin Toh, who is a co-founder of Straits Interactive. Alvin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Hongbin. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Alvin, for a start here, tell us why you started your company. I mean, what were the gaps in the market that you wanted to fill?
Well, interestingly enough, I started this with Kevin. Both of us came from U.S. multinationals, and we started this in 2013. If you remember, at that time, it was when the PDPA just came out with the do not call. There's a lot of spam going on.
Right.
And we saw there were two industries that were going to be significantly impacted, was the real estate, financial services. And the problem was that to have them comply, to check as they're calling, is going to be tough. So we actually launched a first mobile app in that area. And subsequently, we realized that the full brunt of PDPA came about and required a lot more documentation. And having come from multinational, we saw the benefit of automation, and we launched the next thing was actually our DPO inbox, which complemented our consulting and training. Fast forward to end of 2022, which is when ChatGPT was launched, if you remember, end of 2022. And we saw, my goodness, this thing has a life of its own where it's actually deployable to the office workplace simply because it could do things quite intelligently. You can chat with it. But what prompted us to look at it was, hang on a minute, this is going to be used to process more and more information, and many of them could be personal data. And it caught our attention. It's incumbent on us to actually extend our expertise in data governance into AI governance. And we extended now training and our platform to enable companies to use AI ethically and sustainably. So that's, in a nutshell, now we really focus on capability as service, not because of people having a lack of tools, but actually a lack of capability, which is knowledge, skills, technology, and integrating the process in the organization and doing the digital transformation.
Well, Straits Interactive positions itself as both an edtech and advisory firm. How do these two functions, edtech and advisory, work together to help organizations thrive in a data-driven world?
Well, I mentioned that looking at it from a perspective that it was a lack of capability in the companies, we decided to put ourselves as a capability as a service company where we help companies look at firstly educating them, right, and then having a technology to enable them in the expertise, and then after that look at their advisory, some of them consulting. So we consult companies for AI transformation, digital, data trustmark, which is actually today we are a certified company in the data protection trustmark and also consulting in that area. And we also run about 40 over courses in data governance, in AI deployments and all that. So that's where we see the marriage of both having education, advisory, and having a tech to support it is probably the best enabler right now in the market for capability.
Okay. So though, North America has historically been the world's leader in tech adoption, APAC is rapidly closing the gap here. I mean, especially when it comes to generative AI. So Alvin, from your observations, how are SMEs in APAC embracing AI compared to their counterparts in Europe or North America?
I mean, you might be surprised. In fact, APAC leads in terms of actually adopting some of the conversation. Yeah. So we saw a report by Deloitte that 78% of SMEs using at least one enabled tool, 82% are adopting one additional tool in the future. But when we actually saw the report that came out of Boston Consulting Group, APAC is actually ahead of the Europeans and just slightly behind North America in terms of, investing heavily in AI. And that's something that I think for Singapore, it's very obvious because our government is having an AI strategy and we're putting a lot of money behind investment, getting foreign investments in, upskilling people in Skill Future. We have, the research funds as well that recently was announced even by Lawrence Wong and all that. So I think Asia-Pac, we are seeing bright sparks in terms of the developed countries, and especially also the one that are coming ASEAN. We are seeing also 6 countries having AI strategies trying to take advantage of this.
Well, then what lessons can APAC businesses learn from other regions when it comes to, ethical AI adoption and governance?
Well, many APAC countries have developed frameworks, as I mentioned, and we actually one of the ones ahead in ASEAN. It's not so much about learning from other regions, but for us to actually develop frameworks that are suited for the country's benefit. So I think in ASEAN, we have proposed a model governance framework and from Singapore, and for us, we also have socialized that through also the EU side. In Malaysia, when I was there, and Philippines, they are looking at also similar things for guidelines. They are a bit more business friendly. So something for us to be looking at where I think the Europeans one is the strictest. There are some, backlash or pushback from AI companies where it seem to have stifled some of their investments and their deployments. The people who have bought APAC side we are seeing actually take a bit more lighter approach, what we've seen so far.
Okay. So, you've mentioned that AI adoption here in Asia-Pacific region, they are leading the charge here. But which countries are leading the charge and why?
Well, I think for Singapore, look at the investments that are coming in, right? NVIDIA's here, and then we also have Google with Meta, Facebook. So the push by the government for investing, there are 3 things. When I look at the 6, let's look at ASEAN, zoom down for our region. When I look at the 6 countries that have their AI strategy, 3 common things rang out. First one was actually, how do we build the ecosystem for AI research? Second one, in order to bring foreign investments in, they needed to look at how do we upskill our manpower base so that they actually can serve that. Then the third one, they look at governance. So if you look at who's leading ahead, I would say Singapore is for ASEAN, sure. And then right now, when I was in Philippines recently, there is also a very big push to actually take advantage of upskilling their people in AI. Why? Because they have the business process outsourcing industry, which is huge. And recently, the monetary fund actually looked at it and said 17% of their workforce could be threatened by AI because of the BPO process that they do. So they are also very quick on the heel in terms of how do we upskill that part so that they can, jump ahead and be relevant in still. Plus, as the second biggest outsourcer in the world in terms of BPO, that's something that's very important for them.
Right. So why do you think governments across APAC are moving more quickly now to regulate AI then? And what specific threats are they responding to?
Wow, that's a big question, huh? For now, I think you've seen the things about deep fakes, especially when it comes to elections, the use of AI, sometimes the misuse of AI is a lot more obvious. And then, of course, we see the regulations are now looking at, hang on a minute, if you're going to be processing personal data, there could be things like privacy, there could be biasness inside the data, in the way you process things, transparency, how you make decisions. So the regulators are quite conscious that you don't want to be really treating the AI in a black box where it's going to be processing information with certain biasness, making decisions you don't really know how to explain, right? And maybe intrusion of privacy, because imagine the AI could connect many dots and triangulate, maybe certain preferences you have. I don't know whether you have experience with ChatGPT. Now it has a memory function, right? Basically summarize my strength, whatever about myself. You'll be surprised what it knows about you because of the way you interacted with it.
What role then do you believe tools like Capybara can play in helping companies automatically align with regulatory requirements, while continuing to innovate?
Well, Capybara is our AI platform that we developed specifically for us to use in enterprise because there is many free tools out there. And we realized that the level of security and where we place our data was not consistent. So when, you heard the adage, right? When the tool is free, you are the product. Right, because they're going to be capturing your data and all that. So we decided to develop this to allow organizations with little or no technical expertise, even to know how to do due diligence, to harness Gen AI instantly. They can build AI assistants. They can actually do assistants that are useful to their role. It's not just a generic ChatGPT thing. So we actually have the platform that allows them to do HR, AI assistant, they can do marketing, they can do learning development very easily and do it for schools and all that as well today. So this is something that allows at least organizations to take it on with a peace of mind of sustainable and ethical deployment.
So help me explain the idea behind, Capybara and how the capability as a service model works in practice.
Well, Kibabara is the underlying. When I look at capability as a service, there are 5 layers. Yeah? So the first layer probably has 2 components, which is the competency. So it has skills and knowledge. So this is the part that we are now providing as a training to company because many people don't know how to leverage AI in terms of how to prompt it, how best to use it. They use it as a glorified search engine. The third layer actually is technology. And technology, again, we are technology agnostic. We can query 10 different models. It doesn't matter. But you must know that, okay, what are the strengths and weaknesses for different models? How do you actually cite them so they can be safe? Right? Because some of them actually, the transfer of data maybe to certain countries that you may not favor.
Right.
Some of them actually train your data that you actually send in, which is not good. And the last part, of course, is that how do you integrate into your work process? Because it's not just a generic ChatGPT situation. And then final one, a lot of them talking about digital transformation. Once you have the first 4 layers in terms of skills, knowledge, and then the technology and the process integration, then you can talk about, okay, let's have a roadmap of digital transformation across the enterprise. That's how we build capability in the company, not just selling tools, because that's where companies fall apart. Tools become white elephants.
Well, on that note, looking ahead to the next few years here, Alvin, what major shifts do you anticipate in the way AI is regulated, and how should businesses kind of prepare now to, stay ahead?
Well, if you look at major shifts going ahead, this is almost shifting almost every 2 months. So this AI, you can hear news almost every week. And what we are seeing right now is that the cost of intelligence is dropping. Right? The AI, what you knew from ChatGPT, oh my goodness, it can speak this way. Last year, we saw the reasoning capability of AI, right, where it's actually be able to plan. Then recently this year, we saw that it not only can plan, it's now able to launch agents to execute tasks. So that is more moving into, like, for example, coding. You can actually now beginning to see people say, hey, maybe I can, half of my coding capability, I can actually use AI. And you're already seeing firms are already laying off the lower roles. So because some of these things, the AI could do it, so the human being has to actually level up. So businesses, how do they prepare to stay ahead? I would say level up your employees on leveraging AI so that they can be more productive, do more value-added work. So training is important. I said the skills and knowledge is important. Then the technology, then is you're more flexible in terms of leveraging that. Then after that, of course, how do you build into certain processes? Some processes can be automated quite easily with AI. Again, if you don't have the skills and knowledge, it's impossible even to see that through all the forest of the different things that are coming up.
Well, Alvin, Straits Interactive has earned recognition as one of Singapore's most promising startups. So what do you think has been the key to your success in a competitive tech landscape?
Yeah, thanks for that. We recently won an award for Best Company in AI in Education.
Congratulations.
We were also recognized in UK for also AI in education when we partner with SMU. So one part is that we stay on the cutting edge in terms of how can this be applied for enabling people. So you talk about education, we work with SMU, we actually want to first to bring AI into classroom that actually become a co-tutor. So it's relevant. So remember I told you when we did the do not call one, we made it relevant and easy so that we demystify the technology so that people can use it for immediate use. So like for example compliance, I talk about data protection, we had a DPO inbox. It's a very dry subject, but because we automated it, then there's a chance of you accelerating the compliance and then after that you're able to sustain it. So for us, having a degree in data governance where we knew how to work things through into a process, how to automate it, and then after that, giving trusted advisors the tools, whether it's our own consultant or our partners, that allows people to benefit from the AI, whether internally or them as a service provider.
Okay. Well, also, Alvin, before we let you go here, just to ramp up our conversation here, looking ahead, what's next for Straits Interactive? Are there any exciting projects in the pipeline?
So many.
Give us a little tease. Yeah.
We are now into Q2, right? And I would say, the vernacular right now is agents and agentic flow. We have invested almost $1 million in our platform to actually enable, we need to make it simple. Making things simple is actually quite hard in terms of deploying AI assistance to companies. So what we've done is that the next stage we're looking at is how do we enable the professional, it's not the coders, it's the professional to be able to take advantage of agents, agentic flow, and enable AI assistance for their own workflow. without having to do a major IT project, even for yourself, right, at the radio station.
Right.
And we learned this actually from the National Prompt Design Challenge that we did 2 times in Singapore and we're doing now in Philippines, where we enable, imagine, a professional and students to develop AI applications in 1 day. So we actually now have launched courses to do that. We have the platform to do that because we want to demystify that, being able to launch an AI assistant is not long drawn process. You need to know you need to know the technique, then you need to have a framework so that it's easy for you to deploy it.
Mm-hmm.
The programming language of AI, you know what it is?
What is it?
English.
Oh, I thought that was
Right?
a trick question.
You just stick to it, right? So, how do you stick to it? That's why we say there's a certain way to prompt it, and now, of course, we teach people how to do it safely.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, actually, we are seeing a lot is actually AI tutors in education, those that we won awards in,
Mm-hmm.
because we think people learn differently, and the way education is going to be disrupted is that AI is going to be in the classroom together with the teachers, and then the AI will remain with the students so that it can be a coach.
Right.
So we are now making that available in our classes to also education institution. We train almost 1,000 teachers and principals by now. And once they get switched on, they say, my goodness, right? It's not a cat and mouse game. This thing can be a help for their administration, but it's a very also useful help in the classroom because every student has different pace of learning, right? But the AI is very patient. It's actually able to answer you very patiently, whether you want it at your level or more advanced level or maybe certain definition. It can even quiz you. So it's a boon to actually the educators. So we are very excited for that because Singapore, we have skill future, we're upskilling the middle age people, we're upskilling the young people, right? So we think AI has a big role, especially in our economy and enabling the workforce.
Wow, looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much, Alvin, for joining me today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That was Alvin Toh, who is the co-founder of Straits Interactive. This has been The Right Business with me, Hongbin Jeong.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.